My name is Yuval Morad. I'm a product owner in SAP in Business Application Studio and Web IDE. And in this session, I would like to share with you how to consume S/4HANA Cloud and S/4HANA events when you develop a BTP application using Business Application Studio. So let's look at the different personas that will be demonstrated today. We have our end users that will receive the application. These are the S/4HANA Cloud user and the BTP user, the end user of the application and the business data. The application that we will demo would be processing of business partner creation in BTP application. So if in S/4HANA Cloud and in S/4HANA, you create a business partner and you want to do something with it, for example, to approve it, then you could do it in a BTP application. So the S/4HANA Cloud user or the S/4HANA user will create some kind of a business data. In our case, it is creating of a business partner, and the BTP end user will receive it, consume it, and need to approve it in BTP. This is what the end users are doing. There are two different other personas, which are the administrator. The administrator needs to connect the BTP, the account, to the S/4HANA on-premise or the S/4HANA Cloud. He needs to create subscription, to assign roles, and all the other general stuffs that he needs to do. But the special thing in this scenario is that he needs to connect these two systems and make sure that events that are coming from S/4HANA or S/4HANA Cloud could be received on the BTP. The application developer in BTP, and this will be the most of our demo, will create an approval application for a business partner and will make the end user, the BTP user, the option to approve a business partner that is received from the S/4HANA. So this is an overview of the different persona. I will start with the end user and show you an application that is working. Then I will move and explain a bit about the administrator. How does he connect the two accounts? And most of the work is to show you the development of the application of business partner approval. Let's go to the demo. BTP applications that are already deployed. So I called it Partner Fest. When I launch it here from the HTML5 application, I will get to this HTML, which will in turn launch the partner UI here. If I press go, then I see the business partner which were approved and not approved to be approved until now. And let's create a new one. So the new one that I want to create, I need to go to the S/4HANA Cloud in this case, to business partner and create a new person. Let's call it October 3. Let's give it a title. Here, last name, SAP, and save it. So it was created, and my expectation is that it will be ready here for approval. And here it comes, the October 3. How can I approve it? Click on the record, press edit, mark the approval status, and approve the business partner. So here it is approved, and I see that it is approved. I can even, in the filter, make sure to have the right filter here and maybe show only the business partner for approval. Like this. Now let's go to S/4HANA on-premise and create a business partner. This is my S/4HANA on-premise, also BP transaction. Let's call it Devtober 4. Give it title and last name and save it. So it was saved. Let's go back to the application and we see that it is received, and again we can approve it. So until now we saw the end user of an already developed and set up application. You created the business data on the S4 side, you received it on the BTP, and you did some business transactions. It's a very simple, of course, application, and we'll build it together. So let's go to the next persona. The next persona is the administrator. How do I connect this stuff together? So how can I connect the BTP to S4HANA Cloud and the BTP to S4HANA on-premise? So for the S4HANA Cloud, it's a three-step approach. The first thing you need to do is to go to your global account, to the system landscape, and add a system. You need to choose the S4HANA Cloud, get a token. I will not create it now. I created the CG7. I got a token, and after I got the token, I'm going to my S4HANA Cloud, to the maintain extension on SAP BTP. I create a new extension and put here the token that I got. And then the two systems are connected. So here, the CG7 is connected to my global account. This is the first step. The second step would be to go to the BTP and to the entitlement tab and make sure that you have entitled the S4HANA Cloud extensibility with plan messaging, and you'll need to create an instance for it. You'll need to fill some few things in the JSON and create an instance for it. Then go to the S4HANA Cloud and go to maintain event channel binding, and you'll find your channel there created. So my channel is Extension Factory DevX. This is my account. This is what I need. The few things that I told you to fill in the JSON would be to fill some hint of the suffix, then of my account, then I filled it. It is created once I create the instance, and I need to decide which event from the S4 Cloud I want to publish for the outside world. And this goes to the outbound topic. I decided to publish business partners. I added it as an outbound topic, and all the events of business partner are now published. And the account of DevX will receive these events. The last step is as administrator, if I want to monitor the flow, and also I need that the developer will have the option to bind events, then the last step is to go to the entitlement and entitle the event mesh. So here you have event mesh application for the administrator to monitor stuff. It is plan standard and the event mesh enterprise messaging here plan default. So the default is needed for the application developer, and the standard is an application which is needed for the administrator. So for S4 Cloud, this is the three-step that the administrator needs to do. After he is entitling the standard plan, he can go and monitor it in the application that he subscribed to in Event Mesh and see the different queues. This is the publish queue, and there are other queues that will be created once application will be created. So for the S4 on-prem, the only thing that the administrator needs to do is to create an instance of the Event Mesh default plan. Then he could go here. He could go to that instance that he created, take out the key, out of it. They copy the JSON of the key, then go to the on-premise. Let's go here to this transaction. It's all written on the config where you maintain the channel configuration. You create a channel with the key. So you click here via service key and copy the key, put it here, and then the systems are connected. Of course, you need to decide what you want to publish outside. And for this, you have the outbound binding. And in the outbound binding, you see I also published business partner. So connecting the S4 on-prem to the BTP is a bit easier. It's one step. And connecting the BTP to S4 Cloud has 3 steps. So with this, we finished the section of the administrator persona. Now we can develop our application and go to the developer persona and develop the same application that we demonstrated at the beginning, this application. Let's do it together. So the first thing you need to do is to create a project. It is an empty project, a boilerplate one. You can create it from here, project from template, and choose the full stack productivity tool once it comes. And here you can choose the full stack productivity tools and create a project. I already created it. It's an empty project. Once it's created, then the structure of the project have the data model and the default service. I created this Partner Fest 1. So then the next step is to add an external resource. So it could be a service or an event. So I click here in the storyboard, which is the entry point for every project, and it reflects all the major part of my application, my external resources, my data model, service that I develop, and the UI. So I click Add to integrate an event and to add it to my project. Then the Service Center panel is opened, and I choose the what's called API Hub, and now it's called SAP Business Accelerator Hub. And I'll go to the product of S4HANA Cloud. I can also go to S4HANA. And what's new here is that you'll get now event package. So these are event packages, they have different icons. So I click on the event package and I see the different S4HANA events. I can search for partner. And the event information is opened. So let's explore a bit the event and see what's behind. I see the metadata of the event, and the business partner exposes change event and created event. I can view the documentation if I want to learn more about the event, and it connects me directly to the S4 documentation, where I see a bit more about this event, some related API. What else do I see? I see the payload. So here the payload is only the business partner ID. So the event will be raised, changed or created, and the only thing that we'll get is the business partner ID. Then we need to do something with it. There could be other payload. If I click here, general ledger events, then it has a bit bigger payload, okay, 2 attributes. So it differs from an event to an event. You could see the details of the event, and you can navigate to the API in API Hub. So here you could click on this, or the package, or the product. It's just helpers for you if you want to learn more about the event. The main activity and the main data that we need to see is the payload, and the main activity would be the add events. When we click add events, we add it to our project. So there is one project in the workspace, and we add it to our project. We click here, add events. So what it will do, if we go back to storyboard, we'll see that the event is added here. Now we have an external resource that can be used by our application that we build now, the business partner approval. So let's build the business partner approval application. First thing is that we need to do is we add a data model. The data model would be quite simple. It will hold the business partner ID and a comment and a status. So let's call it partner. This is my entity. And then I want to edit it. So I click on the show details. I see the information of the partner entity, and I want to add properties to the partner. The first one would be BP ID. And this is, I think this is a large string. The second would be status. I decided that it is a Boolean. And the default value is false, it's not approved. And the last is a comment for the approval and a default value. Please approve. And this is the data model. I can add more stuff, but it's a simple one. Then next is I create a projection, a simple service, which takes the data model that I created now, partner. So it will open the service modeler and offer me the entity that I just created. I choose it. I decide not to remove anything. I could decide to have a projection, remove stuff from here, but I decide to keep it as it is. The only thing that I want to change is to say that this service is draft enabled. So I can do editing here. I mark this under the setting, the draft enabled. That's the only thing I'm doing here. And I go back to storyboard. Now I have a data model and a service that is connected to it. And now I want to consume the event in my service. So I right click on the external resource and I click consume event. When I click it, I'm getting an application logic editor, which offers me the different consumption option. In this case, it is an event. It identifies that it is an event. And I choose the created event and not the change. And I want that the logic would be partner approve. Let's approve the partner. I click add. And a shell for a logic was added for me. I can click on the OpenJS editor. I see here I can enter my code if I want, but let's do it with a template. Let's go to the business logic here, add a template of an insert to the function call, then the SQL insert. I click on it, and I get some help to add records when receiving the event. So the entity is the partner, the column name, which I want to map to is the BP ID. So I get the BP ID from the outside and I want to map it to the one that I create in my application, and the mapping value would be message data business partner. So this is the only thing you need to develop. Business partner. How do I know the metadata of it? So I believe that in the future we'll even offer a dropdown. We saw it here. So we saw that here I think I get business partner. So then this is the data that I get, and here, this one, this is the property. Let's go back to the application logic editor. I did my logic, and it is generated for me, the insert statement. Of course, I could enter any code that I like to react to the message that will be received in runtime. So I added the logic to the service, and now let's add a UI. So from the storyboard, I click add a UI. Let's call it partner fast UI 1. Okay, because I don't know if I created already. So do a next. I will choose the list report. So it's not a mobile application. Based on Fiori elements, this is the only entity that it finds. And I more or less almost completed to build my UI. So it do some npm install, so it might take a few seconds. Now the UI is created and I can see it in the storyboard. Once it's created and everything is installed, the page map is opened for me, and I can affect the different fields. The only thing that I want to do is to make the business partner which I receive as read-only. So I go to the page map and I'll go to the column, which is business partner, and under the restriction, I can decide that this is a read-only field. So that's all. So this is the development. I finished the development. One thing I did for the UI, which is the read-only. Another thing I did for the service, I added some business logic and mark it as draft enabled. So then the last step would be to deploy your application. You need to go to the Task Explorer and press deploy. It will build your application. It will create an MTR archive file, which is a transportable object that you can move from a target runtime to a target runtime. This is like the compiled application. And the second task that will be executed by default is the deploy itself. So build and deploy. So I'm connected to a target runtime, and by default, it deploys it to that target runtime, which would be the one that we will see soon. Now, if we want to look a bit to the details behind the scene, we helped you a bit with our tooling. So when we imported the event, then we updated the package JSON with all the things that is needed to events. Yeah, so it is the package JSON has the relevant dependencies, and it is updated with messaging and with the business partner service. So this is one thing. The second is we generated an event mesh JSON, and we subscribe to all the events. And the important stuff when we imported the event is that we generated the CDS for the business partner in the right structure and with the right topic. So we read it from the service center, we read the metadata, we generate this business partner CDS. Here it is the business partner change and business partner created. It's all here. And when we click deploy, we generated the MTA here with the right dependencies, the right resources. So here we have enterprise messaging, which point to the event mesh JSON, and we have the dependency to the messaging in our service in our application. So I see that now the application is deployed, and we can try to search it. Here we have Partner Fest. You should have Partner Fest 1, I hope. Let's see. Yeah, now we have the 1. We can launch it. This is the entry screen of the application where we can launch directly the service or also the UI. Let's launch the UI that calls the service. This is the UI, exactly the same application as you saw before. If I press go, probably there is nothing, but now let's add exactly like what we did at the beginning. Let's add a business partner. So this would be 5. Give it a title, SAP, save. It was saved, and all the application, even the old one and the new one, should receive it. Let's go to Partner Fest UI. This is Partner Fest UI, and here is Partner Fest UI 1. So if I click it here, I should get October 5. Can approve it. See that this is read-only. This is what we developed together, and let's approve, save it, and we see that it is approved. The other application also got it, so if I will press go here, I should see the 5.1. With this, we concluded the complete demo. To wrap it up, we started with the runtime users of the S/4HANA and S/4HANA Cloud, which are creating business partners. The runtime user of the application is approving the business partner. Then we continue to the admin that did a setup between the BTP and the S/4HANA Cloud, S/4HANA Cloud in 3 steps, and the S/4HANA in 1 step. And most of the demo was for the developer persona, which developed in BTP in Business Application Studio, the application, added the service to his project, added a data model, added an internal service here that consumes the business partner event, added a logic, a UI, and then build and deploy the application to BTP. I would like to thank you very much, and if you have questions, you can always read the documentation and contact me. Thank you very much.